Thank you, Ladan, for joining us. I'm very excited to talk to you and discuss your business. But before we get started, I wanted to know if you could just give us a background, like where you're from, when you came to the U.S., and just share as much as you feel comfortable sharing about your story, how you came to the U.S.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for doing this. Also, just chatting with you is going to be wonderful. I came to the U.S. in 1978. I was 4.5 years old. My mom and dad decided to study. Actually, my dad was going to get a second master's degree in the U.S. because, as my mom has told me since then, that the government jobs that they had in Iran and Tehran, the minute that you study in America, you would make more money like right away when you came back. So what they didn't anticipate was that the revolution would take place. So it was a life-changing thing. They had not even packed up their apartment, right? So they did not intend to stay in the U.S. But it was on my 5th birthday, the revolution. So in 1979, they had to make a decision that they were going to stay in the U.S. So after my dad studied for his master's degree, we moved from Idaho, where he had been accepted to school, the University of Idaho. More cows than people. It was a ridiculous place to be, but they had an amazing Iranian community of friends from school that had also come and then decided to stay. So we moved 8 miles across the way to Washington State University. And my dad got his PhD and my mom got everything but dissertation for her PhD. And they were both econ students, economics. So my dad's dissertation was actually on the Washington State Apple, so Apple industry. So we moved to Iowa, and then we only stayed a year because they didn't sponsor my dad for a green card. So from I don't even know what year it was, we were in Pennsylvania. So where my dad was a professor for 39 years at Lake Cumming College. And along the way, when we were in Washington State, I asked for my sister. I specifically came home and said that I want a baby sister. So the 4 of us, my parents, it's been interesting living in all these different parts of the country, but I predominantly grew up in Pennsylvania, and with immigrant parents, as so many of us know, and all the pressures to be in Iran. The culture says you got to be a doctor or an engineer, or and if God forbid you're gonna study business, which is what I wanted to do, you have to study finance, not really marketing or anything else. So I prepped, for the life of doing that with the normal immigrant child story of going to college for finance and then graduate school. So that was kind of my background. I was supposed to be a banker, and I ended up working in a telecom company as a temp, and then that made me fall into a 20-year telecom career. So, and along the way, I decided I really just didn't like the telecom industry, but I still just, I had to keep going because that's what you end up with, experience and all of that. So that was my main thing. And I went to an international business school, so I live all things international. Like I absolutely love learning about new languages, cultures. So that's where I went to grad school. And at that time, it was the #1 international business school out in Arizona. And that really shaped me. I went very young. That really shaped me to want an international career at some point. And now that I'm in my 50s, I am striving towards that finally. So does that help answer?
Yes, that was wonderful. I understand your thoughts about what people expect of you as an immigrant child coming into the country. I understand that perfectly well. So can you then start telling us a little bit more about how you ended up with this specific company and what led you to this to start this new company. And
Yeah.
please give us the name of the company, because
Oh,
I
sure.
want to make sure that it's out there.
Absolutely. Thank you. So my business name is Leave It to Me. I wanted to name it Leave It to Ladan, and as you know, that it's hard for some people to say names for people that are maybe not born in the U.S. So Ladan is not the easiest. My first name is really Ladan, and I really at a young age didn't like the way it sounded when people pronounced it wrong. So I changed the pronunciation to Ladan. And I did not change the spelling. So it's just because I was 6 when I changed the pronunciation. So it wasn't until a certain gentleman became very famous that people have no problem saying my name now. I tell them it's like Bin Laden, but you get rid of the bin and you just keep the good and and keep just awesome Laden. And so they are starting to have no problem with my name. But so the first time I planned an event, and it was by accident. So I did what everyone does in high school to prop up your resume and like all the things. So I ran for student government president, and I did not know that one of the duties of the junior class president was to put on the prom. So I actually did my very first event, and I think one of my most amazing events. At the age of 17, I had an ice sculpture at the prom, and had a committee of other student government members, and they picked the colors purple and teal as the backdrop for our pictures of black, white, and purple and teal. So I, from that moment on, made all my events have that decor with the purple and teal. So I'll get back to that in a minute. But so I really loved doing the event. Like everything about it was just so fulfilling as far as my personality goes, taking care of all the classmates that like everybody just showed up and had a great time, right? So even the committee, they all went to get their hair done. They all had time to do everything. I instead was running around like a crazy person, picking up the ice sculpture, and I truly felt so alive and good. And then seeing people's reactions at the prom, and the fact that they were all so impressed with our tiny little town and a little suburb of Williamsport, Pennsylvania, having there's an ice sculpture at the prom. This is pretty awesome. So anyway, so that was my first experience of doing event management, and I ended up in college doing student government again, and I actually got a job with the college activities board, and I was in charge of the movies on campus. So I went to Rochester Institute of Technology, and again, no idea that there's a career that I could go into doing this, but when I was in grad school also, I became the public relations chair, and the public relations chair along with the student government obligations. But the reason I picked that role was that person was in charge of the graduation party. So I organized 2 graduation parties, including my own. So I realize now, like a lot of big milestones in my life, I have not been able to enjoy the party myself because I was the one organizing it, but I enjoyed it in a different way. I absolutely loved having the golf cart, because this was in Arizona, having the golf cart and running around and making decisions. And it was, but also coming into the room and seeing all my classmates that are enjoying the party for 1,000 people. So anyway, long story short, I developed this need to have events in my life on the side. I had a fear of following my passion because it was a substantial pay cut, and over the years my family became accustomed to my being the breadwinner, and there was no possibility of pursuing the passion, right? So after 20 years in telecom and I parted ways in a very messy way, and there was no looking back for me. I was at that point, I said, I'm gonna move to events and doing this for a living. And it was a life coach when I couldn't find a job in event management. It was his idea to start a business. And since nobody in my family had ever done anything that risky, I just laughed at him. And I finally pursued the idea of being a business owner. And then there was no looking back. It was like I was designed to do this. And I did not know what exactly I should do in the event world. I thought I had an idea of letting people that are planning an event enjoy the event themselves. So that's why I called it my business, Leave It to Me, because I wanted to help with day of event management, specifically for event specialists. But when I did my first event, I realized I didn't really like working with other event specialists because I am a little different. I am not the same like wedding planner events. Like these are the planners that are typically would have a year of planning and a color-coded folder of, all the things. And I'm way more helping with events that if there's an issue, sometimes other people that are way organized and planning ahead can't handle it. So that's when I jump in. And so I went to a funeral, and I had basically the thought that this isn't right, that people that are grieving, they don't have help. And a lot of it is because they're doing this very last minute. The event has to be put together very quickly. And so looking at my strengths and the things that I like, it made a lot of sense to do end of life events, because I've got, the ability to work with the grieving individual, but also the ability to think quick on my feet. And if something has gone awry, or it needs to just be done quickly. So that's why this particular thing that fell into my life, I knew it was going to be events that I wanted to do, but I had no idea that it would be working with the end of life events, that it's just not the sexiest thing to sell.
Well, I'm impressed, actually. It's hard. I understand it's hard to go from corporate world and go off on your own. Explain to me a little bit what exactly you do for the end of life. I mean, is this something that people approach you ahead of time? Or is it a last minute thing, or both? How does that work?
So what I've noticed, I pay really close attention to this, that if they know about me ahead of time, if somehow they've heard about it, or a friend has referred that they know that their loved one is about to move into that final chapter of life, it makes it easier to start thinking about the process. When the grief has hit, the person that their loved one has passed away, and someone suggests that they call me and contact me, it's overwhelming because they just think of it as another person they have to reach out to. Whereas I view it as, if they're contacting me, the person that has now come into their life as another person they have to talk to, I am more experienced planning events like this, so I can actually make their life easier, and I help them with the decision fatigue of finding vendors, of all the different components that I have the experience of doing it. So, but it hasn't worked out that way. Most of the time it is an individual who hasn't heard about me before. But I'll show you an example. There was one of the clients that I helped back in September with an event for her uncle. She was looking for an event professional. So what they turned to was wedding stuff. So they were so tired of going to wedding planner websites that had balloon arches and all these other things, but it wasn't really focused on an event that is honoring the legacy of somebody. So when I was connected with them, I outlined for them that I can actually just be almost like a second an adopted family member, right? Like I can do anything and everything that they might need. So I can go to Michael's and buy picture frames for the pictures that are put out. But I come up with a plan of basically letting them know that I'm their full service concierge, anything they need. So because they're going through a very difficult time, I'm open to people contacting me even at night, very late at night, because sometimes one of their tasks, well, not sometimes, it is always a task that's going to be to go through the family pictures and pick out things for the slideshow. It is a very overwhelming thing to look at, depending the age of the person putting together the event. Years and 50 plus years of memories are going through all of those pictures. And so I take the pictures for them and then I'll rearrange it, because working on the slideshow is hours of looking at those pictures again. And it's not an easy task for someone that's very, very heartbroken. So it starts with the conversation of what they want as their event. So all the things that I work on are the vision of the client. I don't come in and say, oh, you need to have orchids and you need to have this and the table should look like this. It's none of my vision. It's their vision, and making sure that I help them bring it to fruition, because I might know that some things that they have in mind are kind of like going to cost more, or it makes it a very complicated process. So one client that I met, a lot of times I work with clients that are people that I've done a celebration of life event for a former ambassador, for a USAID officer. So there lots of global components. Like the gentleman with USAID had lived abroad in many different countries. So when his widow contacted me that she wanted to do it in the City of Falls Church here in Virginia at a pavilion, and wanted to have about 100 people come into this pavilion. So I broke it down with her that it seems like it would be cheaper because it's less than $1,000 to rent the pavilion, but then you have to bring in all the furniture, tablecloths, you have to bring in a caterer, you have to do all these things, bring in a lectern to stand and have the speeches, and it might rain, and where are they going to park? And there was all these components that she had not thought about. So I said to her that let's find a venue that's already established, that has kind of everything that you need, so that you're not working with so many different parameters. So I took her to some venues, and then we had the choice between the pavilion, the church that she had found, and also a very beautiful venue that's a restaurant that it's absolutely gorgeous, with a koi pond and all these things. And you think when you look at that place that it's going to cost you more than the other options, but I did a spreadsheet, because the finance background comes in place sometimes, and it works out. And I showed her the cost analysis, how much more she would have to pay me for the hourly coordination of all the steps and everything. And she ended up, she decided to go with the restaurant. So that's the kind of thing that's like the expertise of doing events for over 30 years. I can outline for them. And, she has so many expertise, things that she's an expert in, but I just happen to have found this passion of mine and have this expertise in something that's a little different, especially the event side of it isn't different, but it requires it requires an emotional component that I can help in that arena as well. And then I'm also not going to confuse the clients with balloon arches and things that the wedding planners might do. So being specifically for end of life, I think doing the events in that way has given me some real different experiences.
So would you say, I'm thinking, somebody that does the advance directive and has, trust and everything, would somebody then maybe want to reach out to you and say, hey, this is what I would want. I'm going to put it in my documents, put your information, and you could do that as well with somebody? Yeah,
so that's a great point, because I do that. But that program is called A Final Gift, and the person working with me is essentially gifting their loved one with the plans, having the outline of, they live their life the way they wanted, so they should plan their end of life party in their vision, right? It shouldn't be someone else's vision. So to give you an example, I was contacted, one of my friends from grad school, her dad was an ambassador, and he's still living, thank goodness, but many years ago, he actually had a medical diagnosis that he thought that he might not have a lot of time left. So his daughter and him, we started planning the potential event. And that was one of the ways that I had the idea to start the funeral pre-planning program. But the other person that solidified that decision was when I was at the grad school Thunderbird. I was 22 and I was very homesick, not for my home, but the boyfriend that I left behind back on the East Coast. But I was having a really hard time, and then I ended up breaking up with him. So there was a lady at the cafeteria that I was not aware that she was 50 years older than me, because she had dyed her hair fiery red, and she just had such a youthful soul. We became really, really close. And so over the years, she's remained in my life. And 2 years ago, I turned 50 and she turned 100. And it was an amazing, amazing thing. But unfortunately, she did pass away July 4th last year, 2025. But with her having this spirit that really didn't belong in the time frame that she was born, she had 4 ex-husbands. So she was always talking to me about her ex-husbands. And when I started my business and I told her that I'm, doing this work, that I had a calling from God to do the helping clients with the event management for their end of life events, she's like, hey, did I ever tell you that one of my husbands, he planned his whole funeral? So I got that idea from her that, she said that he just bought a book and planned everything. So with her having opened my eyes to, I don't have to stick to just events, that I can actually help with the entire end of life process. I became involved with going to it's a very interesting group called Death Cafe. So Death Cafes talk about the concept of death and dying. It's not a bereavement group. So my sister thought that I was opening a cafe to sell cookies for death, skulls and stuff. It's not a cafe that way. It's the conversation group. But anyway, so I couldn't use that name. So that's when I started my taboo group. So the taboo talks and thoughts, we've had conversations about this. But anyway, so long story short, John McCain's funeral was also taking place at that same time that I started thinking about that I want to do at the funeral pre-planning. So my first client is one of the clients that I did his wife's celebration of life. So when we did that, and I traveled to New Orleans to put that on, he has started, I put that thought in his mind that he should maybe start thinking about this. So we have already begun the process of knowing what type of event he wants. And so just going back to really quickly, because we're running out of time, the things that I do for the clients, for that particular client, I put on the Virginia celebration of life. It went so well, they wanted me to take care of the celebration of life event in New Orleans because they split their time between the two cities. So, but in addition to the slideshow, the program, finding the venue, all of that, when it came time to print out the poster boards to put out at the event, they wanted 12 poster boards. The wife, just stunning, absolutely beautiful woman, and their 2 daughters, they wanted to have the poster boards and then turn it into pictures. So as I'm working with the printer, they're like, each one of these posters are almost $90 some. They're like, what are they going to do with them afterwards? I'm like, oh, they thought about cutting the backs off the board, cutting them down and then framing them and all of this. And so in working with the print shop, because I have a good relationship with them, I was able to talk to them about printing just pictures. And then I bought frames for them all and put them in the frames. And the framed pictures were used on the easels instead. And then we were able to take that to New Orleans as well. So it's the outside the box thinking, the, realizing that the relationships that I've made in the industry, that so now with the background that I have with working with end of life space, I'm putting on an expo in April called the Final Chapter Expo, and it's going to have all the things that people might need in that final chapter of their life, like talking to someone to do advance directives, to do power of attorney, like estate lawyers, elder law, even things about selling or reverse mortgage, all of it. So that's how it's kind of grown into a different, not just event world that I do.
Wonderful. Well, that's very interesting, very unique. Definitely very unique experience. And I'm glad we were able to talk and you were able to explain all this. There's a lot to be explained. Yes. I appreciate you taking the time with us. And I understand as you get older, you start thinking about, the end. But I appreciate all your intake, and thank you for your time.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for starting our fabulous group.
You're welcome. I enjoy every woman in the group, so it's wonderful. Okay, thank you.